Another year, another Call of Duty, but this one promises to be different. Yeah, never heard that one before. However, this one actually looks different and the hype around it is different. So how is it? Last time I did a Call of Duty review was World War II. I showed a list of where I'd rank every game in 3 categories: single player, multiplayer, co-op. Now this will change all the time because opinions always change. So right now my updated list looks like this. Yeah, Black Ops 4 is really disappointing to me. So where does Modern Warfare place on the list? It's time to find out.
Bravo 6. Going dark.
Gameplay. The gun mechanics are so nice in this game. It's so satisfying to shoot in this game. Instead of leaning around corners, you can mount, which reduces all recoil. There isn't as much restrictions as recent CODs have had. You can climb on top of stuff again and hide in trucks if you want. The maps in all game modes are a lot less linear, and you can really do what you want. This is the first Call of Duty that has really changed the gameplay. Probably because it's a new engine, or at least that's what they said. There is still some code from the older games, at least there was in the beta, which kind of makes me wonder if it truly is a complete new engine, or just a complete overhaul. But it definitely feels completely different than the old Call of Duties. And there's a lot more attention to detail in this game versus the other, specifically with the gun. There's also assassinations or finishers, whatever you want to call them, if you hold the melee button behind somebody, that you can't die while in the animation. However, that is at the time of this writing has changed now. You can actually die while in an animation. Happened to me the other night. Don't know if I have it recorded. If I do, there it is. If I don't, it's not going to be shown. Super Sprint, which is faster than the regular sprint, but leaves you at a more disadvantage. The regular sprint is a lot slower than the old games, as is the aim down sight. Overall, this is a much more slower paced Call of Duty. Presentation. For once, the guns don't sound like a puny pea shooter, and thank God for that. This is the first time in a long time the sound effects in Call of Duty don't sound like cartoony or a bunch of airsoft guns. Don't believe me? Go back to COD 4 and listen to where the grenade is bouncing around. Play Advanced Warfare or World War II and listen to what the guns sound like. This game is a huge step up in sound direction. Probably the best sound direction in Call of Duty period. It does have some problems, however, and I'll get more into that when I talk about the multiplayer. Graphically, I'm kind of mixed if I'm being honest. I feel like at times it was gorgeous and the pre-rendered cutscenes look fantastic, but sometimes it just kind of looks like Battlefield 3, which isn't a bad thing by any means. That game is still gorgeous to this day, especially for a game a console generation old. But the fact that I'm comparing it to a game a console generation away doesn't seem very good. I also feel like it lacks a style. Maybe it's subjective, but I can always tell the difference between older CODs by looking at their art style and saturation, and this one just doesn't seem to stand out to me. Black Ops 4, for instance, is a very saturated game with tons of color. Older Modern Warfares weren't very saturated and had a more gritty look to them. COD 4 seemed kind of greenish grayish with the style, and Modern Warfare 2 felt desaturated with a warm filter over it. Modern Warfare 3 was similar but had a little more saturation. Black Ops 1 had more of a saturation with cool colors everywhere. Black Ops 2 kind of more of a plastic look, to be honest with you. Black Ops 3 and 4 look very similar if I'm being honest, but it's no doubt that the amount of color in the Treyarch games are much more pleasing to look at. World War II almost looked perfect to me. It was realistic, gritty, but still had color. This game may look realistic, but it lacks an identity, which in my opinion is more important than just looking good. Now, there have been some performance issues on my end. For some reason, OBS and Call of Duty just didn't like each other at first. I fixed it by disabling the overlays, which honestly I probably should have done a long time ago. But this wasn't a problem in the beta. There's also frequent stutters on PC during the rendered cutscenes, and a weird glitch that I have on controller where it turns me around real quick and even spawned me outside the map once. The stutter issues appears on the Xbox, although it isn't as big of an issue as the PC version. Xbox also has a weird crash that apparently only happens on Xbox One. How is that even a thing? It's literally the most powerful system. The PlayStation 4 version appears to be the best, most stable version, and it also gets the extra Spec Ops mode, which apparently sucks, but I really wouldn't know, so I'm going off other people's experiences there. Also, all these problems may have been solved in the patch, but I don't think pre-rendered is. Story. So usually I would not go into spoilers, but still warning you about minor spoilers if it just happens to happen. However, I will be mentioning something that did happen at the very end of the game, so with that in mind, feel free to skip ahead a bit. This year campaign is back, and it promises to make no Russian feel like child's play. Right. This is also a very short campaign. I think it took me about 4 hours to finish. I don't know if that's correct, but it could be somewhere within the 4 to 6 hour range. Well, I will say it does have a lot of moments that make you feel very uncomfortable. It starts off with a suicide bomber. They're straight up war crimes, child violence and death. Going through a house and killing terrorists that hold hostages who didn't also try to shoot you after they get saved. Interrogation scenes with women and children where you can kill anyone, though I think there is a game over if you kill the child. So yeah, a lot of scenes in this game are very, very gritty and mature and probably realistic. But is the overall story good? I mean, it's pretty good. I'm not exactly the biggest fan of how modern CODs handle their stories. The whole zoom out and show pre-rendered cutscenes of the characters are cool, but I feel like modern Call of Duties worry more about the characters than the conflict. Ever since Call of Duty Ghosts, roughly around there, the story has relied more on individual stories rather than the actual war. Remember an old Call of Duty campaign? You would make a jump from squad to squad doing a bunch of small things in the war instead of just one story of it? Think in Call of Duty 4, there was about 30 characters and you take control of 6 of them at one point in the story, including 2 of them that are unnamed, just random soldiers. In Modern Warfare 2, you bounce around controlling the Army Rangers and Task Force 101. Whether you're controlling Allen, Roach, Ramirez, or Soap, it feels like you're playing and learning the whole war. Maybe this isn't true, but it sure feels like the older games are a lot less streamlined in telling the stories. In this game, you control 3 characters. Cal Garrick, who works with Price, Alex, who they don't even give his last name, Farah, who is the leader of the resistance to the Russian government, and you also control Farah, mainly in flashbacks where you see her growing up. She is as well with Captain Price throughout the whole story. Basically, the whole game revolves around 3 characters with 1 villain and 1 minor. The villain, instead of showing the whole war. It's not bad, but I wish I could get another viewpoint. It's still very shocking and fun to go through, however. Now, the ending is something else. They basically set up a possible COD 4 while mentioning many characters from the original story of Modern Warfare.
General Shepard pulled the files you asked for.
Hopefully we'll get more than just a Task Force 141 story when they probably reboot Modern Warfare 2. But Modern Warfare 2 is really about to be the best sequel again. Co-op. We got Spec Ops back, which may sound awesome, but honestly, this isn't for me. It can probably be fun, don't get me wrong, but instead of the somewhat story which makes it feel like it's going to be, at the end of the campaign that is, it's basically matchmaking 2 to 3 objectives that take a long time. This is really disappointing. No Star 69 or co-op mission structure from the old Modern Warfares. It's basically crappy 4-player co-op with boring, unmemorable missions that'll take a long time to finish. Really wish their old structure with many different missions was here, but hey, you still get XP for your weapons and for multiplayer, so that's pretty neat. Speaking of multiplayer, let's be real. This is the only reason most people play Call of Duty, and there is a lot to unpack here. So they have said there is no microtransactions in the Battle Pass system, which is not out at the time of this writing, will be cosmetic only. There will also be free updates with free maps, free content! This is huge! Matter of fact, when I'm recording this, tomorrow we get our first 2 maps. Hoorah! On the servers, it might seem a little generic. You pick your class, which you can customize, even in game now. I feel like the UI seems pretty good and easy to navigate, but there seems to be some basic features not showing up, which is odd. I can't see other people in my party very easily, and the stupid unlock green square won't go away. I think when you play like gunfight or use a weapon you pick up or like unlock a blueprint, more on this later, on a gun you haven't actually unlocked yet, messes it all up. There is an operator system, but it's just a skin, which is a really good move, because I did not like the operator systems in Black Ops 3 or 4. Or Infinite Warfare, which I totally forgot had it until just now thinking about it. Field upgrades, which are new to the series, which is basically like a timed perk. I do wish there was more perks, however. A lot of them just feel kind of bleh, bland, but this might be a little subjective. Now there is a lot, and I mean a lot, of tactical and lethal throws. Gas grenades, M-Texes, combat knives, C4, stuns, flashes, decoys, it's all here! Kill streaks are plenty and fun when you get one. Some people are upset that there isn't score streaks which make people play objective. But there is! Sorta. It's a perk called Point Man. These red perks really seem like the only ones that matter at times. Is it worth it? I'm not sure. I have tell you when I'll unlock it, which I have since I wrote this. And it's all right. I went back to hardline. I'm doing better, but it's all right. There is a good amount of guns. Not a boatload, but way more than Black Ops 4 had. At least I think. I think there was a bunch of microtransaction guns, and I didn't do that. But there is a lot more in these guns than just a generic gun. There are so many attachments and weapon levels to this game. It's insane. If you're a gun nut, you're gonna love this. Every attachment has its own pros and cons. I'm not sure how many levels there actually are, since I actually haven't gone to max level on any gun yet. But there seems to be about 70 attachments plus perks on your weapon, and you can have up to 5 at one time on your gun. The gunsmith system is just tremendous. You can make a gun to your playstyle with so many different options, you'll hardly ever see the exact same gun as what you have. There is an armory, which is basically a quick blueprint for attachments that you can get even if you don't have the attachments unlocked. Some of them actually have unique skins, such as the grassy knoll. However, with this system does cause a lot of balance issues. The M4A1 is unlocked early and is definitely elite tier in the game. Whether it's the best assault rifle, I don't know. I had a lot of good luck with the SCAR and the AK. And there's the Kilo, matter of fact, but the M4A1 is definitely better than the Kilo, and it's the second assault rifle you unlock. And the 725 has range that is just insane. Check Reddit clips on this. Most of them are slugs if I'm being honest, but even the buckshot of this game is insane. And they probably are going to address this in the patch that comes out the day after this recording, but I'm not going to go back and re-record this because that's redundant. Nonetheless, it's pretty crazy. Claymores. My god, claymores. You can't stun them or flash them. You can use a grenade to blow them up, but that will alert everyone around you and possibly still kill you because they have the range that is absolutely insane, much like the 725. Now you can hack them, but the range you have to be to just hack is very, very close. At first, the game modes to me were very iffy. There just wasn't much there. Team Deathmatch, Domination, Search and Destroy, Headquarters, Ground War, Realism, and Free-For-All? Man, there's actually more than I remembered off the top of my head. And the new Cyber Attack with 10v10, TDM, and Domination, which are actually very dull. Okay, 10v10 Dom isn't terrible, but TDM is just awful. And Ground War, while at times can be good to break up the pace, is just not very good. Gunfight is by far the standout here. A 2v2 mode with a solid map rotation, which is all about the skill and communication to players. 1 life each. First to win 6 round wins. You get the exact same guns, same attachments, 3 lane maps, go. The Alpha had another variant where you pick up weapons, which is non-existent here for some reason, but nonetheless it's great. It gives an even playground to everyone, and it's up to the players to duke it out. Since the beginning of Rhinos, they've added kill confirmed and night vision goggles mode, or NVG, and tomorrow of this recording they're actually adding hardpoint, which means it's already in the game as you're watching this. There is also more game modes and private matches, such as a hardpoint, which just weren't added yet for some reason. Also, I didn't mention Headquarters when I went through the list. I don't really know why it was there, but not in the actual multiplayer list to begin with, but okay, whatever. So remember in World War II, my biggest problem was the lack of content and maps? Well, the maps in this game. Right. So in total, there are 19 maps with 4 night variants at launch. It may seem like a lot, but there's a catch. Some maps are specific to certain game modes. There's only 2 ground war maps, which is Prime. There will be a 3rd one as of tomorrow of this recording. 10v10 maps only show up for 10v10s and not 6v6 or other game modes. That means if you do a standard game mode, you're only going to see about the same 4 or 5 maps or whatever it is in the game. Why? Just make maps for whatever the max size is and scale them down for different game modes. There's one map you can even cut in half and you can make probably 3 or 4 maps out of it. Bad Company 2 did this in 2010. Why can't Call of Duty do it 9 years later? Matter of fact, the map Invasion from Modern Warfare 2 is hidden in the bridge map. Let us play that, please. So map quality has been getting bashed by the community. I love Constant Raid, Knockoff Peak. Piccadilly and the bridge mentioned earlier are getting the most hate, and the rest are just kind of there. I guess the Palace is getting a lot of hate as well, but I think it's so big, even 10v10 is too slow and boring. What is the goal with this map? Personally, I don't know how most of these maps are because 80% of the community lays in the back of their spawn and camps. There is a huge camping problem with this game. Kill Confirmed seem to try and help, but still, how do you fix this? Is it the map causing these issues? The game mechanics benefiting campers more? There's no score streaks, sort of. or just a toxic community, I honestly don't have a clue. I seem to do fine without the campaign, and nothing has really changed in my playstyle except on the bridge, maybe. The bridge, to me, is just goosed off Canyon 2.0. Luckily, there's going to be more maps for free update throughout its life cycle, so we'll see what happens in the future here. There's been tons of leaks already of maps returning from old Call of Duties, which I'm kind of mixed on. I'd rather have new maps instead of relying on nostalgia, but it's whatever. There's also a huge, massive issues with the sound. The footsteps are really loud, which is funny because in the alpha and beta they were super quiet, which to me I actually enjoy because I can hear what's happening, but people just really seem to like it. And the callouts. Again, what are they thinking here? First of all, the announcer will constantly give you callouts, which is just annoying. Enemy at the cave entrance. There's like 6 entrances. What do you mean? And with subtitles, it can really clutter the screen up. The player callouts are even worse though. You will yell when your character sees someone, anyone, alerting both you and the enemies around you. I usually don't even see the guy he's yelling at, and occasionally happens when I know there is no one around. Why is this even a thing? For one, there is callouts, only my team should be able to hear it, and second, there shouldn't even be callouts, period. Most of the time they say it just to make me feel stupid, because I don't see anyone around, and then the enemy turns around and kills me. Solid. Maybe have the operators say specific things like flashbang or reloading. To only your teammates, but the contact and enemies spotted needs to go. The minimap is completely different in this game as it was in old games. I'm not really sure if I understand the new system, so you will not show up on the dot on the minimap at all unless there's a UAV. You will show up on a compass at the top, which first of all, the compass should be at the bottom. It's just awkward looking at top. Maybe it's just me, but it just doesn't feel right to me. I'm kind of up and down on that, just because we've had it a certain way for so long. Some that's also somewhat subjective and kind of somewhat implemented, but not exactly like it used to be, is the multiplayer factions. Every map has a different faction facing each other. I'm not going to take it away from the overall score, but it has been an issue in every COD since, I think, Ghost. Seems like that game is where a lot of issues started hitting. But I miss a day where every map had 2 different factions facing each other, and every announcer and character looked different because of that. Now there is different announcers, for example, the Demon Dogs are at other arcade, but it's not like it used to be. Whether it was the Seals in Modern Warfare 2, or created with the Rangers Lead the Way, or of course, the infamous from Spetsnaz's. It really gave more personality to the maps, and nothing has been the same since it's just been 2 different sides facing one another. Multiplayer is fun and the mechanics keep me coming back, but the players and the maps and the guns, specifically for balance-wise, the M4A1 and 725, really frustrate. Conclusion. This Call of Duty has people talking for being the first game to really innovate since, I don't know, would you call it Jump Pack and Exosuit innovation? I mean, it was the same engine, just had one different mechanic that completely changed the game, which got dumbed down to the ground as well with all of its other mechanics. I'm not sure, but this is one of the most fresh Call of Duty game has been since Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, and it is the most customization features since Modern Warfare 3. I'm giving Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2019, because there's 2 of them, a 7.7 out of 10. With fun, addicting gameplay, a short story which really has great moments, but to me is too much based on the individual characters and not the overarching war/conflict. And issues with multiplayer holding it back. This game can easily get its score up with more maps, gameplay balances, and the fixing of the weird errors and crashes. Like and subscribe, comment down below, come back next time, and thank you for watching.